Greetings! Good evening. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Thank you all so much for being here. Just getting the last couple of little bits and pieces sorted out. I had a thought, like right as that last piece of music was finishing, going, oh, this is something I should put on the stream that I can talk about later on. But so I found it now, so it's all good. Hello, welcome. Hello, if you're watching live, thank you so much for coming along. Thank you so much for spending some time with me here. And hello if you're watching on catch up. In particular today, hello to specifically the people who like follow this channel and follow the stream like 20 minutes before I go live, because the thing is that like this I just find that really nice. It's nice to know that like people are interacting with the channel even though I'm not actually streaming, but also it plays a really loud sound effect through my speakers, and it terrifies me every time. But hello, welcome. I'm excited to do more Camlann stuff. Things are in full swing with the production right now. We've got lots of bits of different episodes that we're working on, and it's great. And the response to the episodes has been really lovely. The response to the episodes has been really nice. Like some of the fan art has been amazing. Like no kidding, you are a talented bunch of folks. Like that's like the fan art that we've been seeing is incredible. I can't begin to process how good the fan art is. It's so good. It's very, very, very good. I've become one of the people that follows the Tumblr tag on the Camlann tag on Tumblr. Just to look at the fan art, because it's amazing. It makes me feel very happy. Ella Watts is here. Hi, Ella. Good to have you here. Joel Sinea is also here. Hello. Good to have you both here. Thank you so much for coming along. The fan art is so pretty. It is truly wonderful. It is quite amazing. We are all Camlann all the time right now. Yes, we are. My life has been consumed by Camlann in a good way. I mean, it's a good problem. I had a very strange thing happen about a few hours ago. So I've been editing Camlann all day, and I saw a post, and it was a composer who talks about video game soundtracks a lot, and it turns out there's a Sonic the Hedgehog game where like the menu music is a Welsh folk song. Very much like Camlann to a certain extent. And I saw this and sort of saw the convergence of Sonic the Hedgehog, of which I'm a big fan, as you can tell from the massive Sonic the Hedgehog poster behind me, and the various other Sonic related things that I have that I'm surrounded by in my life. That converging with Camlann, and those two things mashing together after a full day of editing, I thought I was dying. Luckily I wasn't. That just turns out there's Welsh folk music in Sonic the Hedgehog. Truly, Sonic the Hedgehog, cultural ambassador to Wales. It's weird looking at Sonic the Hedgehog and going, oh, we had the same idea. I never thought I'd ever get to say that in real life. That's wild. Anyway, before my brain falls out the back of my head, let's talk about Camlann. So this is episode 2. This is episode 2. I have to be very careful actually with this, because you'll notice there's a track now called spoilers, and basically that's for a monster that hasn't appeared yet. I need to be very careful that I don't accidentally give spoilers in these streams. It was funny that you said we could tell you're a Sonic fan by gesturing, and at first it looked like you were gesturing at the big non-binary flag. I mean, that's not incorrect. Let's be honest. Like Ross McFarlane, who's our delightful production manager, sent me a short video, and it was like these 3 sliders. And one of them was I'm a Sonic the Hedgehog fan. The other was I'm neurotypical, and then the other one was I'm straight. I'm cishet. And then whenever like you couldn't flick all 3 switches at the same time. I promise I am going to talk about Camlann. I promise. Right, okay, Camlann. I'm not going to play the episode just because, it's quite a long episode and we've got limited time and there's lots to talk about. I have a couple of things to talk about specifically today. Episode 2 involved kind of interesting things in terms of like sound design on an editing side of things, but also from like a Foley perspective as well. I got to do some fun Foley stuff for this episode. There's lots of creature design. There's a very big creature in this episode, and there's also another thing that I forgot was in this episode that we also get to talk about, which is the fairy swarm, which I believe is up here somewhere. Oh, is the swarm not? Oh, the swarm is in this episode. Yeah. Forgot to open the tracks there, but yeah. So we're going to be talking about that today as well, and how we put that together. But the fairies, I'm really like the fairies. Like, there's a lot of stuff in this series that I'm incredibly proud of. The fairy swarm, I think, might be the best part of the sort of the closest something in this series has got to be like, oh yeah, that's what it was. That's what I thought it would. That's what I hoped it would sound like. Rather than with a lot of the other things, it's like, well, I think it's going to sound like this, and then I've done it, and then it's kind of gone, okay, well, it doesn't sound like how I thought it would sound, but it still works, you know. Whereas the fairy swarm, it worked first time, and it's always lovely when that happens. But we're going to talk about that later. I'm going to kind of go through this fairly chronologically, just so that we're kind of it's just easier for me to keep track of where I am. And then we're going to talk about the sound design stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about editing. I don't think there was anything too scary about the edit for this one. And then I'm going to kind of talk about how this episode evolved during the editing process, because it sort of changed from it's changed from the script to the final episode a little bit as we get towards the end. But yeah, so the first kind of big thing to talk about, I guess, is, so there's the first scene. That's the campfire scene. It's the same as the first episode. We've got our this is the same campfire sound design. I think the only thing I changed was I added a thunderstorm in there, just as a little just kind of foreshadowing that there's going to be it's a motif in this episode is a thunderstorm, and kind of putting that in fairly early on was quite important. Yeah, so there's a thunderstorm recording, which is, I think both of these actually are, yeah. So these are both recordings I made from my kitchen when it was we had some really big storms around here a couple of years ago. Let's give those a listen. So this is just from outside my bedroom window, just a very rainy day. I was just very lucky that there wasn't a lot of traffic, which is quite nice. Delete this bit. Apparently it's just rain, apparently. There it is. And then also added this extra one as well, which is really loud. Oh, that's nice. Oh. I had to try very hard when I was recording that to not make a noise. Because I was like, oh, good juicy thunder sound. Which is then repeated at the end of the monologue, just to really hammer it home. Real good thunderstorm noises. That we're going to hear a lot of thunderstorm noises in this episode, which is very exciting. So the first scene that we have is the sort of dream that Morgan has, and it looks really busy, but there's a couple of things that there's a couple of clever things that I did with this scene to make it kind of sound quite strange. True sound designer energy of hearing cool sounds and immediately recording them. That's my vibe. That's my thing. Like, just talking about recording thunderstorms. There was one day where I was at work and there was a thunderstorm outside. And Sarah, my amazing partner, sent me a picture, and I looked at it, and it was a mic stand. It was one of my mic stands, one of my metal mic stands, pointed out an open window with one of my also metal microphones pointing out the pointing out the window, going, "Look, aren't I just the best wife?" And I had to go, "Sarah, you've just put a lightning rod out into like a lightning storm. Can you maybe take that away?" You don't point microphones outside during a thunderstorm, like, because that's you'll die. So don't do that. Don't stick a metal rod out into the sky during a lightning storm. That's a terrible thing to do. So have a closed window. Just have a barrier there, just so you don't die, because that's very important. No sound is more important than sound designers being alive. Anyway, so this scene here. So this scene sounds really. If you're listening to this on headphones, it sounds really weird, right? I'll just play it for you.
Okay, I've got something. Go.
All right. Is it an animal?
Yes.
Does it live in the sea?
Nope.
Does it live in the desert?
No.
So you'll notice that, like, it is in stereo, but the voices feel like more sort of here, right out in front of you, rather than like in your ears.
No.
Wait, are you cheating?
No. I can't tell
It feels
you.
like there's a
It'll give
space
away.
there, right?
You're up to 7 questions now.
Those questions don't count.
Yes, they do.
Fine. Is it smaller than a person?
No.
All right. Is it bigger than a person?
Yes. It's huge.
Okay. And it lives in Wales? And it doesn't live in the sea? Are you sure you're not making this up?
Yes. No. And yes.
So if you're keeping an eye on the levels over here, you'll notice that the only tracks actually making any sound are ambience 2 and ambience 4 down here. So,
okay,
and
I've got something. Go.
The reason why is for this scene, I wanted to kind of, so there's a motif here that I can't talk about because the episode's not out yet. There is a motif that I'm trying to establish here that I can't properly explain yet because the episode hasn't come out. So you're just going to have to take my word for it when I say that this is thematically relevant. That there is a thematic reason why I'm doing this, but I can't talk about it yet. But it's okay, Ella. Like this is. I'll talk about it when we get there, but I'm setting a precedent here for something that happens later on. Because as much as I may appear otherwise, I do sort of have ideas for like the whole series rather than just sort of making it up as I go along. Two things can be true at once. So the way I did this scene was I edited the scene as normal. So you've got vocals up here and vocals down here. Morgan, played by Ankarad, was performed in the studio, and the other character down here, Ben, was remotely recorded later on, played by the fantastic Casey Finn. And the problem that I've found so far with this series is, when you remote record voice actors, they're mostly, recording like this, right? So they're in front of a microphone and the audio is very clean and the audio is very close. Whereas the way we recorded the series generally is we sort of had a microphone in the center of a room and then we sort of had the actors moving around it. So when you put those two tracks together, because I think I'm going to assume that they are muted at the moment. Give me just a second. Mute envelope. Yep. Right, let's quickly put that up. Let's turn that on. And then I must remember to turn this off later on. So I'll leave those up. And then pop that up there. So if we just listen to these two tracks without the audio processing on, this is what it sounds like.
Okay, I've got something. Go.
All right. Is it an animal?
Yes.
Does it live in the sea?
Nope.
Does it live in the desert?
No.
Does it live in Wales?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Interesting.
Like, it sounds fine. Like if I put that in the scene on its own, because let's get the car ambience back, which is this one, I believe. Is it this one? No, it's this one.
Okay, I've got something. Go.
All right. Is it an animal?
Yes.
Does it live in the sea?
Nope.
Does it live in the desert?
No.
Does it live in Wales?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
That doesn't sound bad. Like if that was what was released, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It would be fine, and people would like it, and it'd be good, and it'd win lots of awards and wonderful other nice things. But I kind of, again, for reasons I can't get into until later on in the series, I thought we could maybe do something a bit more interesting with it. So I edited the scene as normal with these 3 ambience tracks down here. And then what I did was I sort of got them up to a good level, mixed them, panned them and stuff, and didn't export it. And then I got this video camera. This is a very old video camera that used to belong to my partner. I'd argue still technically does belong to my partner, I suppose. I've just nicked it. For when we were making a film back in 2015. I want to say maybe even earlier than that. And she gave this to David Pello, who plays Chris in The Tower and Gil in Middle Below, to film behind the scenes stuff on. And we've just never got rid of it, right? And basically I found a way to kind of bring it back to life. found a way to charge the battery, found a USB cable for it. And this was something I wanted to use for the full recording week, because but I was very much just like, okay, look, if I can't find a USB cable, then we can't use it. But I did find the USB cable, so we did end up using it. And then I ended up using it in post-production as well. So I actually have the I do actually have the I need to actually, sorry, 2 seconds, I need to quickly input something. Audio input capture. No, wrong one. Sorry, I'm just doing some stream stuff here. There we go. Desktop audio. That's what we wanted. Okay, so what I then did was, if I just bring this up, I then got the camera and filmed. Is that audio coming in there?
Okay, I've got something. Go.
All right.
Oh, that's really loud.
Is it an animal?
Basically filmed the
Yes.
scene.
Does it live in the sea?
Nope.
Does it live in the desert?
No.
on my computer.
Does it live in Wales?
So that's the audio there is coming out of my 2 speakers, and I'm sort of sitting here holding
Is it good?
the camera like this, pointing
no.
at it.
Wait, are you cheating?
No.
So
I can't tell you. It'll give it away. You're up to
let the
7
scene play out that
questions
way,
now.
Those questions will count.
Yes, they.
and then brought that audio into the into my project file, and then I think, did I do anything with it? No, I didn't. Oh wait, no, I did. Hold on. Yeah, I took the reverb out of it, and then added a bit of an EQ as well, just to make it sound a bit more like they were in a car. And that's how you get this very particular sound.
Okay, I've got something. Go.
All right. Is it an animal?
Yes.
Does it live in the sea?
Nope.
Does it live in the desert?
No.
Does
Like
it live in
it's a
Wales?
subtle effect, but it sounds
Sometimes.
off, sounds weird,
Interesting.
and I don't know. I think
Is it a bird?
it sounds a bit more like they're in a car.
No.
You know?
I can't tell you. It'll give it away. You're up to 7 questions now.
Those questions will count.
Yes, they do.
Fine. Is it smaller than a person?
No.
All right. Is it bigger than a person?
Yes. It's huge.
Okay. And it lives in Wales. And it doesn't live in the sea. Are you sure you're not making this up?
Yes. No.
So then we also had a thing where later on in the episode, later on in the
That's
scene,
12 questions. 8 left.
Okay.
we started to
okay.
bring
Is
Ankarad's
it real?
clean tape back into the scene.
You are making it up.
No, I'm not.
Yes,
I
you
can find
are. You totally are. You can't even
think it's
keep a
here
straight
from here
face,
onwards.
cheater.
I'm not cheating.
From sort of this point here,
It
you
didn't
start to
used
hear
be real, but it is now.
Ankarad's clean vocals
So
come back
It's
in.
not real, but it is.
What are you talking about?
See that
Nice
subtle
try,
change, like.
But I know.
I think most people who are listening probably won't catch it, but it's like there's a variation in the sound in the quality of the voice recording that signals a change. It's like it's one of those things you can't quite put your finger on why, but you sort of feel it. And that is also compounded on by the sound
What are
design,
you talking about?
which
Nice
is
try.
just a drone from the Moog.
Plus, you got
That
6
gets
questions
gradually
left.
more aggressive.
You're never gonna get
And
it.
you can sort of hear a bit more
Nobody
of
saw this coming.
Anchorhead's clean take here.
What?
5 questions. Better be quick.
Ben, listen to me. What are you talking about?
Time's running out.
Just gets slightly more unreal and stretches itself out.
I'll give you a clue. It eats people.
So then, what else do we have? We had something else on here. Oh yes, so we have the electromagnetic field of a Nintendo 3DS playing as well. You will absolutely have heard this if you've listened to Folklore. So, like, if you've listened to Folklore, I use electromagnetic fields all the time. I love them very much. They just sound really interesting and cool, which is what this kind of sound is here. And then if you add that with the Moog drone down here, just creates a nice sort of slightly what's the word, malicious ambience. And yeah, like I said, the Moog is getting gradually more aggressive as I kind of, again, doing turning up the filter and just letting it kind of letting it growl a bit more and get gradually more aggressive. There's 2 other sounds here. I don't quite remember what they are. Let's find out. Oh, another electromagnetic field. This is from a computer monitor. And then, is this another one? Yeah, and then there's another one from my desktop computer down here. But again, just creating this subtle kind of ambience. So it's not overwhelming. It's not like a load of distressing noise. It's just this quiet thing that kind of builds up underneath what's going on in the narrative. So it doesn't quite. Again, it's more malicious than dangerous, right? You're wanting kind of a bit more of that. So if you listen to the monitor on its own. See. So when I'm doing these, I absolutely love watching this scope in particular. Just the shapes that it makes is just very, very interesting when you're listening to electromagnetic fields. Because if I put this one back on, just for seeing it shift around. See it kind of spin around, which I think is really cool. Ooh, sorry.
Never gonna get it. Nobody saw this coming.
What?
So it never
5 questions.
It never
Better be
quite
quick.
get to the level
Ben,
of like
Listen to
active
me.
danger. It's
What are you
just
talking
there's
about?
something to worry
Time's
about.
running out. I'll give you a clue. It eats people.
Then we have awful sound. Delightful. So I'm trying to remember. I think I made this in a Ben drowned brackets dragon. I forgot I called it that. This is what happens with me is that I will I'll name a piece of audio something really silly and I'll forget about it and then I'll surprise myself later on. Max has not forgiven me for asking you to sound design Ben's death. They kept saying you didn't need to make us hear that. I mean, like, I mean, when I sent through the first cut, the note was it's not vicious, it's not visceral enough. So I had to make this in a separate. I made this in a separate project file. I have a separate project file for. Hang on, let me see if I can quickly load this up for you. For what I'm calling the set pieces, Sorry, the reason I'm on here is so you don't see all the other projects I've been working on. Remote trailer. Where's the sound design? Sound design. Camlann set pieces. Yeah, there we go. Let's open that up. Okay. So, oh, yep, there's a couple of spoilers in there. But that's fine. We've managed to avoid them. That's all good. So over here we have Ben Drowned brackets Dragon, just all the way up here. So the way, oh, for goodness sake, over there. Right. Okay. So first of all, you have a tiger. The sound of a tiger running through an EQ. Just take the bass out of it. So that's all the dragon is. It's just a tiger. It's a tiger and hang on, what's this? I believe that is also I think that's an elephant. Yes, that's an elephant. Okay, so it's a tiger and an elephant working together in perfect harmony. And then we also have a baby crying that's been brought down. Sorry, it's a monkey crying. I beg your pardon. It's a monkey. It's a capuchin monkey chirping. And it's been slowed down to 0.3%, 0.3 of its normal speed. So it's really quite bassy. Which, when you combine it with the other two sounds, the thing about creature sound design is genuinely that, like, I feel like a lot of the time when you go into doing creature sound design, at least for me, I'm like, right, I'm going to try something different. But 90% of the time, you just end up doing the old tricks that work all the time, which is taking an animal sound and slowing it down. That's most of creature design, is just getting a couple of sounds, slowing them down. Like I did that with the elephant sounds. I've done that with the tiger sounds here. These are all slowed down, and that's how you get your dragon sounds. It's a tiger. It's all the dragon is. Sounds like something supernatural apocalypse denier would say when apocalypse happened. That's not a dragon. That's just a tiger. Somebody's just glued wings to it. That's not a tiger. What are you talking about? There were daytime talk shows doing that in the first few days. So underneath that, we just have a crowd panic sound that I didn't realize I'd downloaded. It's just a cool thing to have in your sound effect library. You know, I've never had to use it before, so it was nice to do that. And then I also combined that with so this is it's a piece of sound designed audio. It's a mine shaft. I've used this in a couple of things, so you might recognize some of the noises. But I think what I wanted to, the image I had in my head was like, I don't remember what I want to say it was the first Cloverfield movie. That's the level we're talking at here, where like there's a bit with the Brooklyn Bridge and basically the creature's on the Brooklyn Bridge and it starts to like warp and contort and the iron starts to break and things. That was this kind of sound I was going for, and it sounds like this. Just so it wasn't just crowd sound underneath it. Like I wanted it to be a little bit more dynamic, so you could kind of not hear this creature moving about, but like to suggest the idea of something big moving around or something else happening, as well as just this, you know, faceless amorphous crowd yelling. then you stick all that together, you get this delightful. And then you get the gore sound effects at the end. Yummy, yummy. So these are, I think these are all designed. I think I got these from a pack, a free pack. But like it's it's vegetables, it's cloth, it's all the kind of classic sounds. Yeah. So that's how. So there's a couple of scenes in Camlann where I've gone, I need to do this in a separate project file. In particular, when it comes to the weapons. So we hear Perry's crossbow in this episode that was designed in a separate project, and there's something else that I did a separate project file for. Where's it gone? I want to say the ambiences. So some of the ambiences have been designed in a separate project as well. Yeah. So then there's a waking up. You really have to listen to that again.
What the hell?
So,
Morgan,
wet horse detective.
right, what happened? Why is the bedroom flooded?
Oh, shh. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, let you. Yeah, it's okay.
Morgan,
So there is so much movement in a very short space of time there. Like, so you've got the first waking up, and then you have the horse, you have the wet horse, and then you have Morgan waking up again, and then you have Di and Gellert bursting into the room, Gellert jumping up on the bed, and Di coming over to and then Di coming over to help Morgan, basically. Like, it's a lot of movement. Like, this episode, there's a lot of movement, and I think there's in particular for the action scene at the end, it was where it kind of clicked with me. Like, this is how you do an action scene. This is how you do a scene where there's a lot of action, where lots of things are happening very close together. And I'll kind of talk about that when we get there. But when I was reading the script and reading and kind of talking to Ella about what happens in this episode and the kind of conceit behind this episode, a lot of this episode takes place in like flooded rooms. And I thought that was really cool. I don't think I'd heard that in an audio drama before. You don't get a lot of audio dramas where you hear people moving through water all the time, right? Now that I've edited the episode, I know why. So I didn't have any watery footsteps for this episode, and I couldn't find them. And I also realized I needed a lot of them. So let me take you on a journey, dear listener, and let's just plonk this. I believe this is the right. Is that the right sound? Yeah. Let me take you on a little journey, a little trip back through time, where this is track Zoom 33, and it's quite long. It's quite a long track. It is that repeating itself? No, still going. How long are we talking here? What point is this going to start to repeat? There we go. It is. Let's have a look. It's 4 minutes long, so this took 4 minutes at least 4 minutes to record, and it's all the watery footsteps you hear in this episode all come from this one track, this one recording, and it's me in the bath. Okay, standing in the bath, ankle deep water, to do some watery footsteps. So we'll do these in order. So we'll start with the Kelpie walking. It's just going to be big, sort of side on. Have to be very careful not to fall over. Oh, this is weird. Okay. That's just me dragging my leg through the water.
Fall over. I only do one step. I can only do one step at a time, sadly. I've only got 2 feet, this kelpie's got 4!
I was maybe having a bit of a... I was having a day, clearly.
Okay, so now we're going to do general foot... So we're going to do Gellert footsteps.
Yep, that's right.
Yes, I am going on all fours for this one. You'll be pleased to hear.
For anyone wondering, that is me pretending to be a dog in the bath for my job.
This is a weird ass fucking job I got. I forgot to bring a towel with me. This is... Okay.
I sort of slowly fell apart as the recording went on.
Okay. Footsteps. And then footsteps.
So if anyone needs footsteps, watery footsteps for a project, let me know. You can have this recording. I'm not going to use it again, probably, unless Ella has something planned for future seasons that I don't know about. You know, you're very welcome to it. All kinds of footsteps. We've got heavy footsteps. We've got light footsteps. We've got, don't wink at me. We've got light footsteps, we've got heavy footsteps, we've got monster footsteps, we've got people running, we've got people walking through water, we've got it all. It's an entire watery footstep library contained in 4 minutes. And you also get to listen to a professional sound designer have a mental breakdown in a bath. You know, what more could you want? I should
Right.
release it. I should release it on SoundCloud. It would do really well. The best-selling bit of audio I've ever made. It'll be the next big boy TikTok meme. Yeah. Oh, right. What are we talking about? Camlann. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about horses. So, the Kelpie in this series was voiced by the fantastic Beth Crane of We Fix Space Junk, and so I got to sit in on the recording. So this was another one that was recorded remotely, and I happened to be in London when Beth was scheduled to record with Ella and Ross. So I went, well, Beth, why don't we hang out for the day? Because Beth and I are friends. Why don't we hang out for the day, and then I can sit in on the recording, which I did. And I was not expecting what Beth did with her voice. Like, so she did this sort of throat singing thing where she did more than one voice. So I'll just play it for you and then I'll explain. So. So there's a lot going on there. There's a couple of tracks, but if I just get rid of these tracks, and then also if I mute the, where's it gone? Kelpie verb, which is down here. Yeah, mute that. So this is what the raw recording sounds like. Okay, was there anything on there? No.
The hour has come, but not the man.
Profoundly uncomfortable thing to sit in a room with while that's being recorded. So,
the hour has come, but not the man.
So it turned out I didn't actually need to do very much in terms of sound design. Basically, I just copied the file, pitched it down seventh, so it's down a 7 semitones, so it's down a fifth, to create a sort of harmony part.
The hour has come, but not the man.
And then copied it again, but this time it's down a full octave. And and then that's going to a couple of effects. And then you pop that together, you get this horrific sounding thing. It's just very visceral, and it's very like, and I think once you pair that with the sort of dripping sound design that I added, which is here, just kind of going for a sort of xenomorph kind of sound. If I quickly pop there's so many tracks. Where is it gone? Kelpie. Yeah. Pop that down here. Just unpleasant. Just thoroughly unpleasant sound. But it sounds amazing. It's a fantastic, like, I think there's a few monsters in this series that have people's voices. That means that I have something to go off when it comes to designing a creature. And I think something I didn't quite appreciate before I started working on this project was like how much monsters design you can do with just your voice. I don't think I fully appreciated that until this project. I guess I just assumed it was always sound design, you know, or it was always post-production or processing, without realizing that there's just a lot of horrific noises you can make on your own without having to do that. And yeah, it's a wonderful thing. Well, it's something we'll talk about in future episodes as well. But like having a voice actor be a creature, even if it's just like breathing sounds, right? Like using that as the basis for a creature's sound design or a creature's design is really interesting, because again, it feels a bit more like it feels more like a collaborative process, which is what you're wanting from all good art, really. But then also you have a starting point. You're not building something completely from scratch, which is always handy, I think. I always appreciate that, at least. But yeah, so we have.
Morgan.
Wait, what's the door? Right, where's the door opening sound? What's the nope? What is that? Oh, that's a body diving into water. That's the sound of the door opening there.
Morgan.
Because here's the thing, right? If you have a flooded floor in a scene, right? You have to really think about what's going on in the scene. You really have to think about what would cause the water to move. So in this case, it was like when the door opens, I have to remember to put a wave in there, right? Like because the door is going to be displacing water. But then also, you need to think about people moving through it, people moving closer together. Like, what does Gellert sound like while moving through? Just like, there's so many extra factors that you have to consider if there's just a pool of water underneath everything. It's really dynamic, and I think it sounds amazing, and I think it's really, really cool. It's a tricky thing to have to try and remember, and I think it requires an extra level of attention to detail, which I didn't quite fully appreciate until we were working on the episode. Because I'll level with you. I completely put myself in a hole here. So I made episode 1, and I'm like, yeah, okay, episode 1 took a very long time, but that's because we were building the world. Episode 2, they don't go anywhere new. And like, there's a creature, sure, but it's not that difficult. We've got somebody doing a voice acting part for it. So it's not going to be that difficult. I was wrong. This episode is more complicated than episode 1. There's a dream sequence, there's 2 dream sequences, there's the fairy swarm, which is a new thing, and there's the Kelpie, and there's the big action scene at the end, and then at the end we destroy a building. Like, big episode 2, and yeah, I didn't quite appreciate that when I went into this edit. So since then, I've been very wary of going, oh yeah, it won't take long, because it will take long. It will take quite a long time, actually.
Morgan. Right, what happened?
So whenever you hear anyone moving around, that's there deliberately. That has been put there deliberately, and that's had to be thought about and considered. I know that's true of all sound design in audio drama, but in this case, it's like there's an extra layer of having to pay attention to where everybody is in the scene.
Morgan!
So that's Gellert coming along.
All right. What happened? Why is
Gellert
why is
jumping on the bed.
Shh. Gal, it's okay. Gellert, come here. It's okay.
Morgan.
I don't know.
Okay, it's all right. I'm here. Are you hurt?
No, it's just from earlier.
There's lots of mattress and blanket moving around as well. That's just like
here.
little sounds that are quite
You hurt?
quiet in the mix, but
No,
just add an extra
it's
level.
just from earlier.
Add these little extra
Stay
layers
right
of movement.
Wait.
It's so weird. It just stops at the door. I wouldn't even know it had flooded if you hadn't.
Is Perry all right?
Yeah, I volunteered.
Where's it gone?
Right, because you were taking it in turns on Crazy Watch.
Because you're my best friend and I love you.
Oh no! Oh, I'm sorry. That should be turned off. I beg your pardon.
Because you're my best friend and I love you. Come on. Let's get you all done.
Wait, hang on.
Because you're my best friend and I love you.
Sorry, have I messed
Come
this
on.
up?
Let's get you all
Bonsai
done.
Gem, hello! Welcome to the stream. Just in time for the theme music.
Camlann. Episode 2. Are horses still a thing?
Okay, so what is next? So the next scene takes place in the garage. So we've had I've had a scene here already. So it's just reusing the ambience.
What did the truck ever do to you?
Morning, Paradir.
Ready?
So oh, it's your birthday this week. Oh, happy birthday! I hope you have a good one. Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. Happy birthday. So the hammering in this scene. So first of all, it's a composite. So we actually got Ankarad to beat the crap out of the music stand that was in front of her while we were recording on.
What did the truck ever do to you?
Morning, Paradir.
Ready? Will you forgive me if I say I found coffee?
So I actually had a lot of fun with this. So the Becklime, hello, good to have you here. Oh, look at everybody wishing Bonzo Jim happy birthday. That's so nice. So with the polarizer, I had a fun thing here where so it starts in omnidirectional mode and then it moves to figure of eight. And you get to have a lot of fun with the with automating the polarizer and automating the polar pattern.
What did the truck ever do to you?
Morning, Paradir.
So
Ready?
So the effect you have is that when you hear Perry's first line, it sounds far away, and that's because basically it was sort of on this side of the because when that comes in,
What did the truck ever do to you?
so Perry's kind of around here, so you don't catch it. It sounds almost in a dead
What did the truck
zone.
ever do to you?
Morning, Paradir.
Ready? Will you forgive me if I say I found coffee?
And then it means for the rest of the scene it's in a figure of eight configuration, so they both sound very clear, which is ideally what you want. I absolutely love. Like, I'm going to keep talking about how much I love this plugin and how much I love the microphone we use to record this series on. It's just it opens up so many. It means you worry less about where the microphone is in relation to everyone, and it's more about putting actors in play. It means the recording is geared more towards the actors than to the recording, because it means you can kind of play around with this later on, and it means you're not as wedded to positioning as you would be in a normal recording session. And that just gives you a whole lot of extra freedom. And then it also gives you a whole lot of options in terms of like reflections and room tones and things. Like it gives you so much more. Like for so many of the inside scenes with Camlann, I just moved this to omnidirectional mode, so you just capture the natural room sound. So then it just means it means I didn't have to, and then when I didn't need it, I could just put it on figure of 8 again, and then everything would be fixed. I wouldn't need to worry about room tone or adding a D reverb or anything like that. It's great. I absolutely love this plugin. Very, 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 very much.
Will you forgive me if I say I found coffee?
So the thing that because we're a few episodes into the series now, I've noticed that scenes in the garage in particular are like quite physical in terms of there's lots of like physical actions, like these little tiny physical actions that just add an extra little bit of character. In this case, so I added an extra hammering sound just to make it sound a bit heavier. That's the door opening. So, interesting little point. So, because we got Angharad to beat the crap out of the music stand that she was reading the script off, it meant you got a natural rhythm. So it meant I had something to line up to. So it meant that like rather than like, because the thing is, if I'd been like, right, Morgan's hammering on stuff, I would have put a hammering sound that would have sounded very clean and even and well timed, whereas doing it this way, it sounds more natural because I'm following what Angharad was doing during the recording.
What did the truck ever do to you?
Morning, Paradir.
Paradir.
And so this was another little action, and I think if you're a sound designer, or I think if you want to be a sound designer, thinking of little things like this will give your edits a little bit more life. And I think Nightbot has crashed again. Sorry about that, everyone. I think because I didn't check before the stream, that's the thing I need to start doing. I will have that fixed for the next stream. But one thing I wanted to do in this scene was after the hammering, just to kind of punctuate Morgan's line here.
Morning, Paradir.
Paradir.
Is the sound of Morgan throwing the hammer down afterwards, right? So
what did the truck ever do to you?
Morning, Paradir.
Paradir. Will you forgive me if I say I found coffee?
It punctuates the scene. It adds an extra little bit of rhythm to the scene as well. And then also, like, I think it's very beneficial if you are a sound designer to think about, if a character is holding onto an object and that object stops making noise, where does it go? Because if you don't answer that question, then it just disappears. And you should to kind of keep things real, to make things sound real, you should be aware of, like, do they put it down? Do they throw it down somewhere? In this case, they threw it down on threw it in the truck. Do they go over to a table and put it down? Like, do they put it in their pocket? Like, there are things to be gained from, like, it will sound better if you can leave a paper trail of where objects are in your scene. There's an example I use a lot when I'm talking about this idea is there's a scene in a bit in Stella Firma, an episode of Stella Firma that I edited, where a mirror gets smashed, and the characters don't really, like, once the mirror gets smashed, there isn't really any, it doesn't get, attention doesn't get drawn to it again. It's a smashed mirror. It doesn't need to be in the scene anymore. It's done its purpose. But I still added the sound of the mirror being put down after it had been smashed because it sounds real. It doesn't get smashed and then disappear into thin air again. Like the objects in the scene have to stay in the scene. They don't just disappear. It's like firing a gun and then you throw the gun off stage straight away. It's like no, the gun remains in the scene. It's just not making a noise. And I think that's something that I definitely try to remain conscious of when I'm when I'm sound designing or editing an audio drama. And And I think it's something that it's a very small thing you can teach yourself that will make your sound designing better. It'll make your sound design sound a bit more lived in, and it'll make everything sound a bit more real, which is the ultimate goal. Right?
Hereditary.
Just throwing that down.
Will you forgive me if I say I found coffee?
Wait, really?
Morning, girl. Oh, aren't you just the cutest little monster hunter I ever did see?
That's Robin playing with Hobbs the Lion there, just in case you've forgotten about our dearest Hobbs the Lion, most valuable member of the Camlann cast. I'm contractually obligated to say that due to them having very good agents.
Morning, girl. Oh, aren't you just the cutest little monster hunter I ever did see? Here.
This is the only thing that's ever mattered.
You're welcome.
Just got Gel scratching himself in the background.
So, bad dreams again?
Why? Having second thoughts about letting the witch run free.
I'm not going to grace that with a response.
Sorry.
So you'll notice that Gellert stops making noise. And basically the reason I sort of had for this was like, if Gellert doesn't have anything to do in a scene, this is something I've realised that I'm doing now. I'm sort of maybe 4 or 5 episodes in. If Gellert doesn't have something to do in a scene, what Gellert will do is Gellert will go into a corner, scratch himself, and then fall asleep. That's the action, right? So Gellert does it here.
Here.
So Gellert is breathing. Scratchy, scratchy, scratchy. Bit more scratchy, 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 scratchy. And then a shake. And then curls up and falls asleep.
Sorry.
And then Gellert doesn't make
It's
any
just
more
that
noise for the
sometimes
rest
I
of the
wonder
scene.
whether we should. I don't know how this works.
And I like to think that once you know that, you'll absolutely start spotting that in all the scenes where I'm like, Gellert doesn't have anything to do. In scenes where it's like if we're in the kitchen or if we're outside, Gellert has a lot of things to do. Like Gellert can bark at stuff, Gellert can run around, Gellert can whine and beg for food basically, but like or go over and drink from the water bowl. But in the garage there's not much for Gellert to do. So Gellert's like, I'm gonna go have a nap, which I can relate to that. So yeah, like you'll sort of find in a lot of these that Gellert sort of stops moving, and it's just because like he just doesn't have anything to do, so he's going to find things to keep things busy. Thank you that you shared this knowledge with us, so we could now notice it every time. I hope you do. Like I love knowing stuff. Like if I'm listening to stuff, I love knowing these tiny little bits of trivia and little things to keep an ear out for. I love stuff like that. If you don't love stuff like that, then I'm really sorry that I've ruined that for you. Right, what do we have in this scene? So we have
Come on, let's get some breakfast.
another piece of music, which I talked about in the last stream. And then I think we've got a radio scene now, is that right?
Here are the main points again.
Oh, yes, okay.
Stay in your own home.
So I sort of explained the radio. Don't worry, I love stuff like that. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. That makes me happy. I sort of explained how we did the radio stuff in the last episode. We don't really do much. I added an extra layer of ambience underneath Gwaine for this one, just to kind of make Gwaine sound a bit more like he was in a jungle. Gwaine's in a forest now, yes, and it's quite a big forest. It's a rainforest, I think, as well.
Hear me? Yeah?
So I have to solo that. So this is what the ambient sounds like underneath. Now, what is making that? Yeah, so that's being run through a bit crusher with a phone encoder. So if I turn that off, this is what it sounds like. So the thing about stuff like this is that it's very similar to a trick I did for the tower, where you had Kiri's dialogue, and then hidden in, like, built into that track, very much like here, underneath it is like the ambience, like the wind and the fire and stuff in the background of the dialogue. And I love doing stuff like that. It adds more texture, adds more depth, and the kind of the way I kind of picture it in my head. It's like if if you're looking at a castle in a video game, and then you somehow manage to get the camera to zoom out, and you realize it's a facade. There's actually nothing behind it. It's just this sort of flat plane. It's that kind of trick, but with sound design, where it's just like it's a very small snapshot into something really big, but it's a kind of false front, as it were. I love doing stuff like that.
You hear me? Yeah?
And it just
Aye?
blends really well with the walkie-talkie sound as well, which I'm impressed I managed to do.
You hear me? Yeah? Aye?
Hey, I'm here.
What's wrong?
Nothing.
Now I know this. Are you hurt?
No.
Alright. She's stronger than she looks.
There's a bit where's it gone?
The really big one for the
Yes,
wolves.
I don't have a sound design thing to say here. I just think this is very funny.
No. Not the new forest, the new forest, you know. The one that grew after the cactus. The really big one full of wolves and dryads and aurochs. The big moose cow things.
It's just something really funny about the line, the big moose cow things. I just think it's very funny. But yeah, so we added an extra layer of ambient under Gawain for this particular conversation. And then I believe that means we're on to the swarm now. Yes, we are. Yes, let's talk about the swarm.
Are we worried about the fair folk?
Here. Put it in your buttonhole.
Fennel?
Yeah, found it in the greenhouse. You put it over a door to keep the good neighbours out. Feed it my...
This is the fairy swarm. This is it on its own. So, I'm going to just open it up a little bit so I can see what I'm looking at. Being sent anywhere? Oh no, it's all baked in here. Okay. So, this is made up of a composite of different sounds. What I initially wanted to do with the fairy swarm was that I wanted to get a bunch of bird calls and then speed them up and then layer them all on top of each other to get the fairy swarm sound. I ended up doing something like that, but I remember I asked Ella what she wanted the fairy swarm to sound like, and I can't quite remember what she said, but it changed it changed my approach a little bit. So I was like, I can do the same idea, but I just need to evolve it a little bit, right? So this is a composite of sound. It's all being run through this this wonderful granulizer here by Imagiro. It's called Autochroma, and I'll play the audio and you can kind of see what it's doing. And sort of see it chopping up audio and moving it around and sort of see the rhythm of it. Which is all rather wonderful. Just leave that there. So if I turn this off, if I turn that off, this is what it sounds like. Sounds slightly less like a swarm, and it just sounds like a bunch of sounds. And those sounds are, let's talk about them. So the first one we have is a lot of bees. This is a recording of some bees just flying around being bees. Got those lovely little different pitches and harmonies in there. And then you also get the occasional bee flying right past the microphone. It's great. I love it very much. The next sound we have is some bats. Have I done anything to this? No, I've just changed the volume. So this is just some bats flying around. Sounds rather lovely. And then under that, we have some birds. It's a bird swarm, I think is what it's called. Yeah, birds swarming. So it's a lot of birds. Again, quite quiet in the mix. I'll turn it up. Nice little variety of bird sounds.
The perimeter.
Sorry, just
Iron in the steel.
so I just
It's all about.
exploded my headphones there, and then underneath that we have just some generic vinyl sounds. Underneath that, just to kind of give it a bit more texture, and then if we just sort of this, then that's how you get the sound. The effect that the granulizer has is it kind of makes it sound more chorusy, more like a choir kind of thing, and it sounds more alive, like it's kind of moving. It gives it more of a voice, I think, because it's creating these kind of harmonies as it chops up the audio. It's pitch shifting some bits, it's adding delay to others, it's adding reverb to other bits. It creates that slightly more vocal kind of effect. It creates that lovely sound. And then the bat sounds give it an almost like an almost electronic kind of quality to it. So it almost sounds like an electric fence. Which I thought was really cool. And then obviously there's the birds underneath there, kind of giving it that sort of, again, quite, it's like, it feels like electricity, right? But it's not. It's animals. Which I really love. I'm really happy with how that came out. That ended up sounding really, really good. And then I think we have Di coming in. Yeah,
Di.
This was the first scene we recorded with the walkie-talkies, just because, just the way the schedule worked out. Paul wasn't arriving until later on in the week, so this was the first scene we did with the walkie-talkies, and I was really nervous because I was like, if this doesn't work, it's going to sound absolutely terrible. But it sounds really good. It like the walkie-talkies work. You know, I'm really happy with it.
Di, if you're calling to try and start telephone karaoke again, then I have to warn you that this is not easy, and I am not in the mood.
What? I mean, any other time, obviously.
I really enjoy using Gullert to like communicate disappointment or sadness. Like, just there's a little noise here.
And I am not in the mood.
What?
Gullert is sad that there's no telephone karaoke.
And I am not in the mood.
What? I mean, any other time, obviously. No. There's a horse outside? That's normal, right? That's not a problem. Horses are a thing. A horse is still a thing.
What?
What does he want?
Apparently, he found a horse. Hang on.
A horse?
Di, can you describe it for me?
This is start the music coming in very quietly.
4 legs, mane, tail, big nostril.
So there was a review written by Camlann, by the fantastic Alistair Stewart, of The Full Lid, and in that review he talks about how you have this scene that starts off slapstick and then ends in a really horrible way, and it kind of goes from being funny to being quite horrific. And underneath all of that, you've got this slowly building wall of sound. And I hadn't really considered that as a deliberate thing until it was pointed out to me. But this is where a lot of action happens. This is where a lot of stuff happens. Like if you just look at the sound effect tracks down here, you'll notice that this bit in the middle here in particular, there's so much going on, and there was lots of actions, like this happens and then this happens and then this happens and then this happens, and it wasn't necessarily communicated with dialogue, but it was all in the script and had to be communicated. So there was a way that I managed to figure that out. And I don't know if there's anything else in this scene to talk about.
Di, if you're calling...
Outside? That's normal, right? Not a problem.
Oh, hang on. Well, I suppose there is a signature a signature tin can audio transition from being either on a radio to being off a radio, or being off a radio on a radio, and using that as a scene transition. I think that was the very first trick I ever did in audio drama. It's this bit here.
No, Perry!
One nice day. One nice day, that's all I ask.
Perry? Morgan?
Di, listen to me. Stay away from the water.
So these transitions, they either work or they don't. Like, what you need is you need a long line of dialogue to be able to blend the two recordings together. So what this is made up of, so you've got the clean dialogue here.
Di, listen to me. Stay away from the water. We're coming.
And then it fades down. And then also we have... So when we recorded this scene, we had Tobias in a different room with the walkie-talkie, but also another microphone, so we had a clean version of Tobias's performance. But it also meant we got this side of the conversation with Perry and Morgan. We got that side of the conversation through the walkie-talkies. So it meant that when it came to doing this scene, I was like, oh, let's see if we can make this transition work.
Di, listen to me. Stay away from the water.
We're coming. Don't touch the water.
The kind of trick to doing it is you have one line and you have one piece of dialogue in the middle of the line that you're wanting to transition over, and you fade one out while fading the other one in, and it's fiddly, and sometimes it doesn't always work, and sometimes I don't think there's a set way that I do it. I just kind of mess around with it until it works. But in this case, you've got quite a long fade out with the kind of clean dialogue, and then you've got quite a sharp jump up from the walkie-talkie.
Di, listen to me. Stay away from the water.
We're coming.
The goal is you want the volumes to stay consistent. You want to have it so that once so that it doesn't cut, but you sort of hear the fade, but by the time it's all finished, it feels like one smooth line of dialogue. So you'll notice that the end of this sentence starts to dip down, but then you get the walkie-talkie audio, and it sounds, and that's where the smoothness comes from.
Di, listen to me. Stay away from the water.
We're coming. Don't touch the water.
It's all about consistency. You don't want to have it fade out and then come back in again. You want to make it so that they kind of cross over at an optimum point and make sure that they don't cancel. You don't want a chorus. You don't want it chorusing where you can hear both. But you want to try and fiddle around with it so that as one goes down, the other comes up, and they don't phase, which in this case it worked, but a lot of the time it doesn't.
Di, listen to me.
If you're using clean dialogue and then you're adding a radio to it, it's much easier to do because you have control over what the sound is. But in this case, it was because we were working with a walkie-talkie, very good chance that it wasn't going to work, but thankfully it did.
Di, listen to me. Stay away from the water.
Also, the music also covers a lot as well. Like, the thing I love saying is that sound design hides a thousand sins, a plethora of sins, I think. And music also does the same. Like the idea that the music is also hiding the stitches, as it were.
Listen to me. Stay away from the water.
We're coming. Don't touch the water.
Because then also, another thing that also helps with it as well is that you are doing a scene transition. So I don't like as much as I know there are a lot of them in Camlann, I try to avoid doing scene transitions where one scene fades out and another one fades in. It sort of fades to silence and then it fades back in again. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's kind of that is a very effective way of communicating that one scene is over and another one starts. But it is very theater, right? Where everyone goes off stage and comes back on again. But like, I think this is a dynamic medium, and I think there are more interesting ways to do scene transitions. And you know, sometimes it's appropriate, sometimes it's not. You know, sometimes you don't need to use a star wipe. You know? I don't know what the audio equivalent of a star wipe is, but maybe it's this. I don't know. Maybe I've invented the audio star wipe. But yeah, I like scenes fading into each other. I like doing stuff like this where it's like it's the same scene but it's from a different angle or things like that. I love doing stuff like that. Star wipe is that whoosh sound you get in BBC shows. Yeah, I think the star wipe would be, as you know, a scene finishes and then a piece of music starts and then the next scene starts. That's my star wipe. I hate it when audio dramas do that. In fact, no, I don't hate it when audio dramas do that. I hate it when audio dramas only do that. Like there are many BBC shows that do that, and it annoys me. One audio drama that I think does transitions really in a really interesting way is Red Valley. I think the way they treat scenes is incredible. Just the idea that like as soon as the scene finishes, it just stops. And it sounds like, oh, the record, it's like the sort of a recorder being turned off. But they do that in every scene. And I love that. It's so like it doesn't stop being like, you get used to it, but it just means that like there's an immediacy to it that I really like. Just the idea that it just stops and there's no fade out, just like the audio cuts. Oh, I love it. It's such an interesting way of telling a story in audio. Because they don't like acknowledge the recorder, like recordings in a couple of scenes, but for the most part, like the scenes start where they need to start and they end where they need to end, and they don't have like establishing fade ins, and they don't have fade outs or anything like that. It just stops, which it's great. I love it. Have to jump, but love this. Have a great evening. Thanks so much for sticking by, Bonsai Jam. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. LaRue, hello, good to have you here. I recently listened to Camlann and I'm in love. I didn't plan to chat, but Red Valley mention. Thank you for being here. Thank you for we all appreciate our wonderful, delightful lurker audience. I've said before on stream, but I when I use Twitch as a viewer, I'm also a lurker. I'd very, very rarely partake in chat. So I am one of you. But thank you so much for coming here, and I'm glad you enjoy Red Valley. I absolutely adore that show. It's fantastic. It has some of the best like sound-alike music. Like there's a whole thing in it which is like remembering the level select cheat from Sonic 2. I cannot escape the blue hedgehog, even in audio drama, apparently. But they have music that's like I have an encyclopedic knowledge of Sonic 2, okay? Like I've been playing that game since I was like 3 years old. But which, you know, what effect that had on me for my development, I don't particularly want to think about. But like the music in that scene, it's like this, it's music coming out of the games console. It sounds incredibly like music from Sonic 2. I got really confused. I was just like, is this actual? No, it can't be. Is it? It mustn't be. No, it can't be. Is it? I think it is though. No, it isn't. Like to the point where I went back and listened to the scene again. And I was like, this? No, it's not. It can't be. And it wasn't. But just the fact that it caused that reaction, very impressive. I was very impressed. It was very good. Anyway, right, yes. So this is the big action scene. So the way I sound designed this, right? So the way this scene works is that there's usually like a line or a couple of lines, something happens, a character moves, or there's a couple of lines, then an action, couple of lines, then an action, couple of lines, then an action. And that goes on for, how long is this scene? It goes on for 2.5 minutes, which for a scene in an audio drama is a very long time. You know, excuse me, this is a 25-30 minute episode. 2.5 minutes is a very long time. So there's lots to keep track of and lots to happen. And what I ended up doing, I actually flicked through and actually found these again. I did originally... Sorry, did I bass boost there? I'm sorry. Did my burp go into the microphone? I'm so sorry. So sorry, I will turn my microphone down. Oh, I was bass boosting the sentiment. Sorry, I'm a bit more intense. Oh, I see. Right. No, don't apologize. It's good. It was good. It was a good challenge. What I ended up doing was I marked these in the project file when I was editing, but I deleted them again because it was a mess. But what I did was I wrote down, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, like what the actions were, marked these on the script, marked them in the timeline. And it was like, action 1 I've got these in the wrong order. It starts, that's action 1. There it is. Sorry, I had the wrong page. Yeah, so this is the start of the scene here, right? So start, Kelpie outside, bashing door, water under door. That's what you get here.
Okay.
So that's the start.
Okay. That's not ominous at all. Just don't touch the water. That's fine. That's easy. The floor is lava. I can do this.
So that's action 1. So that little moment there, that's action 1, which is the tap turns on and the Kelpie starts talking. Brackets outside. That'll become important in a minute. So, cut up the scene into these sort of like 20-second chunks and then go, right, once I've finished that action, move on to the next action. And it just meant that I took this very big, ambitious, this very ambitious, very complicated scene and chopped it up into tiny chunks where one thing happens or two things happen. And then it just made it so much easier to parse in my head, and it made it so much easier for me to manage everything that was going on. Hey, Amango, hello! Thank you so much for the follow. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're enjoying the stream. So we had the start, Kelpie outside, bashing door, water under door. Action 1, which is at the end of this, tap turns on, Kelpie starts talking.
Sweet Holy Mary, Mother of Jesus. Okay, everything's fine. Everything's fine. The others are coming, and it's gonna be fine.
Hours come.
So you talk now! That's great, that's fine! Totally normal, totally cool. Talking murder horse. Great! You know what? I take back what I said about living your truth. You need to reassess your life goals.
So that's another 30 seconds. And then the next action was the door destroyed, the salt shaker, and the walkie-talkie, which is all of this section here.
Oh God. Get sodiumed! Deceptively lied to me! Hey guys! Red alert! The horse is in the studio. I repeat, the horse is in the studio! Also, salt isn't working, so we need to discuss that later.
So I did this for the entire rest of the episode. It was just chopping things up into 20 seconds, 30 seconds, right up until this bit here, where the Kelpie dies, basically. Because it just makes a complicated scene a lot simpler, and then it also means that you pay more attention to the actions. I was very impressed that I was able to make this sound as cohesive as it does. That it's very clear what is happening at all times. And that's partly down to a very good script. It's partly down to very good performances. It's partly down to very good direction. And then the sound design, I was just there to follow follow the performances, follow the script. And it was just a case of dropping everything, just keeping track of everything that was going on and happening, and making sure that things could be followed, and that it made sense when you listened to it. The performances made it really believable. The writing made sure that all the actions made sense and that they all flowed together. And and then the sound design just tied it all together. And the music's there just to kind of keep things moving forward and keep things building. There's a small sound in here. I didn't mention it before, but like as at the start of this scene that like I don't think it was in the script, but it was like something I added because I just thought it was a really funny image.
Okay. Okay. That's not ominous at all. Just don't touch the water. That's fine. That's easy. The floor is lava. I can do this.
So the idea behind this was I thought it like it's quite quiet in the mix and that's deliberate, but basically I just wanted to imply that Di was climbing on a table or climbing on a chair. And it's a recording, it's Foley for a body being placed on a wooden table. So they're like quite bassy, quite quiet sounds, but if you stick them under everything.
Okay. That's not ominous at all. Just don't touch the water. That's fine. That's easy. The floor is lava. I can do this.
Because the other thing that can happen in these scenes where you have lots of action but also lots of talking is that, you know, you have like the characters staying still, talking. Something happens, talking. Something else happens, talking. You know, everything stops so they can talk, and then stuff happens, right? So it was also figuring out, well, what's going on while they're talking. And in this case, it was just adding this sound underneath quite a lot of things where it's like, Di is just moving around trying to get away from this horse. So it made, and also like the door bashing as well. Like it just keeps things moving, and also like it means that like everything is moving forward, and it's not just like, right, okay, the thing has happened, let's react to the thing, do it again, react to the thing, something else happens, let's react to it. It's like, no, this is all happening together, it's all happening at once.
Okay, that's not ominous at all. Just don't touch the water. That's fine. That's easy. The floor is lava. I can do this. Sweet Holy Mary, Mother of Jesus. Okay, everything's fine. The others are coming, and it's going to be fine.
Also, I do love that like the house in Camlann is just perpetually falling apart. Just these constant noises of things breaking.
The others are coming.
It's just very entertaining.
So you talk now! That's great, that's fine! Totally normal, totally cool! Talking murder horse, great!
Also, I just want to say, I absolutely love Tobias's performance in this scene. I think it's fantastic. It was making me chuckle the whole time I was editing. Mango asks, how do you go about sourcing your SFX, or do you make them, or a mix? It's both. It's both. For this particular episode, I talked a little bit earlier about recording the water movement sounds by stomping around my bath and having a slight sort of mental breakdown while I was doing it, and so there was that. For this, I was mostly using. So this sounds from Free Sound, and these are all. Excuse me. I think these are all from like free libraries, right? So a few years ago, a website called Sonis. So it's SONISS. They did a big 80 gigabyte giveaway where they gave you maybe like 3 or 4 files from some of their libraries, right? So it was basically like a big taster pack, basically, but it was 80 gigabytes worth of sounds. And I think all of these come from that. Like, I think if you can keep yourself up to date on like when sound libraries are doing giveaways or sales or things like that, it means you can build up a library quite quickly. I still, as much as possible, like recording my own stuff. But sometimes that's not practical. Like, you know, this is a beam wood ceiling drop on concrete. I'm not going to be able to make that in my flat, as well as what's that? Oh, that's a wooden door. That's a hard door banging. That's a piano pedal. So like, it is a mix, and then where's the footsteps? I think the footsteps are. Oh, the horse needs to come in first, doesn't it?
So you talk.
Yeah. So whereas these were me and my back. I also have. I talked about these in the last stream. I also have a collection of. Where's they gone? I also have a collection of sound effect CDs. So I got these as a joke Christmas present from. There's also one called Nature, which I used a lot for the creature sound design. I got those as joke presents from David Pello about 5 years ago now. Because he was in a theatre boot sale, and they were sort of selling these CDs for like £1 each, and Pello bought all of them. So I use those as well.
Oh God. Get sodiumed!
Yeah, so this is one that I made. Hang on, where's it gone? So we've got, where's the get sodiumed? It's here. Yeah, where's the rest of the effect? I think it's here, right? Yeah, okay. So I think this sounds really obvious to the point where it's not good. I spent so long fiddling with this like second of audio, because to me this sounds really obvious and cartoonish.
Get sodiumed!
Like it sounds like Foley. Like you know, the shaking and the like that just sounds really obvious to me. Like, but it works. So that's me with just an actual like a salt grinder that we have, popping the lid off it, giving it a shake, and then just bashing it off my hand. Sorry, let me just mute this so you can actually hear it properly. That's all that is. It's just me smacking it off my hand. And then what's this sound? No, that's a leather hit sound effect. Just a generic hitting sound. So it just gives it a bit more thwack. And then a slightly cartoonish plopping sound. It's got such a high noise floor as well. Oh, it's very funny. But like I said, sound design hides all sorts of sins. Everything together.
Get sodiumed!
This just works really nice. Salt shaker walkie-talkie. So I've done that bit already. Where did I just talk to the walkie-talkie? What's this?
Hey guys!
Oh yeah, so Tobias forgot to press the button on the walkie-talkie for this bit. So I had to go back and add it in later. I tried to take this from a different take somewhere. Again, really high noise floor. So it means...
Hey guys! Hey guys!
But like I had to turn it up really loud because you couldn't hear it.
Hey guys!
That's why when you listen to it on its own, it sounds really loud and obvious.
Hey guys! Red alert! The horse...
It just needed to be louder. Like everything needs to be louder in this series because there's a lot going on. So then action 2, door destroyed, salt shaker walkie-talkie. Action 3, Kelpie walks into room, Kelpie talks, die falls in water, die starts running.
Okay, right.
Right, so that's...
Alert! The horse... We need to discuss that later.
Kelpie's in the room. Kelpie talking.
Okay, right. Yes, I get that, but have you considered daylight savings? You're probably hundreds of years old, yeah? Probably. You're definitely not a modern thing, so maybe you're out. You need to make up for all those times you didn't adjust your... you know, your watch. Okay, so you don't have a watch. You get what I'm saying?
Die falls in water, die starts running. Yeah, so again, I was trying to avoid that thing where it's just like the Kelpie makes a noise or the Kelpie says something and just sort of stands there while Die talks to it. So underneath you can sort of hear, you can hear Die sort of moving around on the furniture again, kind of trying to get away.
Yes, I get that, but have you considered
And then I've also just put a load of generic sort of... These are all noises Beth made, they're terrifying. Along with some horse noises.
Maybe
Beth Crane made some spooky noises for this show.
make up for all those times you didn't adjust your... you know, your watch. Okay, so you don't have a watch. You get what I'm saying?
Die!
And then the next bit is where are we going? Gellert barking, Morgan arrives, crossbow bolt hits wall, Die breaks window. Lindsay6630, hello, good to have you here. We're just talking through a very complicated action scene. Basically what I did for this very complicated action scene was I chopped everything up into 30-second chunks, which I then wrote down, and basically then sound designed each 20-second, 30-second chunk, and then moved on to the next one. So it meant I could take this really big, complicated scene and then chop it down into smaller bits. And so we're on action 4, which is when Gellert arrives here.
Die!
Morgan! Where's Perry?
They're coming. Die! Listen, I have this dream.
Oh, thank God!
Die, get down!
Way ahead of you, buddy!
Die breaks window. Okay, so let's break that down. So Gellert barking, that's nice and easy. Let's just get our beautiful dog sound library that we have. Marvelous. Also, that sound was recorded outside, so it didn't need to do anything to it. Hooray!
Die!
Morgan! Where's Perry?
They're coming. Die! Listen, I have this dream.
Okay, so this is a direction thing, and I really appreciated it. I didn't quite appreciate it at the time, but I absolutely do now. We got Tobias and Ankarad to react to a crossbow bolt hitting the wall next to them, right? And it just I'm going to break down the sound in a second, but you just listen to the
Die!
take on its own.
Listen, I have this dream. Whoa!
Oh, thank God!
Which on its own sounds kind of silly, right? But like it is very useful to do. So it means that you have it means when the crossbow bolt comes, I'm really proud of this sound, by the way. I'm so happy. This sounds gnarly as hell. I love it. Ooh, listen to that. Also, I think I did some weird panning thing at some point, didn't I? Did I do that? Did I just think I did that? Oh, I did. Hang on. Yeah, so there's a... Yeah, so to give it a bit of distance, it starts in your right ear, which is over here for me, and then it flies into the center. So it is very much just like it's outside and it's coming inside. It's very subtle and it's kind of too quick to really notice it, but it kind of comes through. So it feels more like it's coming in from the side is kind of the effect there. But basically what that is, that's the crossbow sound that I made in a separate sound file with some whooshes, and then an impact, just some wood bursting. But then I also added a window smashing on top of that. It's quite quiet in the mix, but it just adds a little extra bit of debris and shrapnel. That's the thing about a good impact noise is shrapnel. Like little things falling off it. It's the tail that you want to worry about rather than the actual impact. That's what makes it kind of believable. and then there's a whoosh and a really sort of bassy little whoosh here. Really sort of bangy, crispy, oof. And then stick that all together. Yeah, and then there's another. Ooh, there's another thing down here. Where'd it go? Because then also you've got more wood breaking down here. Where have you gone? And that's just somebody breaking wood apart like that. So there's not an impact, but it adds more debris, right? And it's the idea is it's wood splintering as a crossbow bolt hits the wall. And then just to add a bit more oomph underneath that, there's flog leather hit smack 1. Don't ask me where I got that file from. Anyway, let's put that all together. It's delightful. Ooh, big, like you can hear the kind of it's the creaking sound when it. That lovely creak you hear. That's fantastic. And then if you add that with the vocals.
Listen, I had this dream.
Oh, thank God.
Brilliant. Sounds fantastic. So that action. Gellert Bracken Morgan arrives. Crossbow bolt hits wall. Die breaks window. Okay.
Oh, thank God.
Guy, get down!
Way ahead of you, buddy.
So, okay. This isn't a technical thing. I just think this is very funny. It's just, I love... I know why Die is breaking the window. Die is breaking the window so Perry can get a better shot, right? But... it sounds a little bit like, Perry starts shooting and Die's like, cool, time to break stuff, and like starts throwing stuff out the window. I don't know, there's just something very funny about that to me.
Ahead of you, buddy.
I think is there a sound there? Oh yeah, I think is that a bag being picked up? Yeah, that's just some backpack movement. And then glass smashing sound. And then more bows. But again, the effort noise is what makes that, right? Like, without the effort noise, it doesn't honestly in character. Yeah, I thought so as well. That's why I thought it was funny. Like, the sound on its own, it's fine, but the vocal gives it a lead up. It gives it a lead in, right? Which isn't there in just the Foley and the sound design.
Buddy.
Telegraphs the attack before it happens, very much like video game bosses. Then we just pop this back in. So Die smashes window. Action 5, Kelpie hit with crossbow. Gellert grabs Kelpie leg.
Get the hell away from him!
And then action 6, Die falls in water. So for the hits, for the crossbow hitting the Kelpie, that's a slightly less large sound. So yeah, you get a whoosh, you get the noise that we used before, the same kind of impact, except there's a smash, gore, juicy smash sound underneath. Ooh, delightful sound. I love it very much. Use it in all sorts of delightful, horrible contexts. Ooh, it's juicy. I love it.
Get the hell away from him!
How did you know my stripper name? There we go. Die being dragged under the water. So, like, that's that whole scene there from Stay Away from the Water.
Stay away from the water!
Yeah, so from there, that's, 2.5 minutes? Yeah, around about 2.5 minutes. And so that's been broken up into six sections. And so we had I wrote down specifically what happens at each point, and then it just meant that when I got to each new bit, rather than going, oh my god, what happens now? It's like, okay, I know what happens. I've written it down. You just move on to the next thing. So I wish I'd done this for episode 1 for the chase scene. I wish I'd figured this out for episode 1. It would have made the chase scene at the beginning a lot easier. But I think this is a great way to handle doing big action sequences in an audio drama where you can't see what's happening and you have to design an action sequence. I think breaking it down into 2 or 3 actions before the next thing happens, it means that you'll have a better idea of what's happening in the scene, and as a result of that, it means the listeners will have a better idea of what's happening in the scene, because you'll be able to communicate very clearly what is happening. So yeah, I now swear by this. Now I've been using it for all the other episodes, because it means that complicated scenes are much less complicated. So now we have a drowning scene. Wildly unpleasant. So, what did we have for this underwater scene? So first of all, I feel like the kind of the obvious thing is first thing I did is I added a tiny delay. So let's listen to this with just the delay sounds.
Die!
So that's with the delay. So this is a trick I picked up from Eli at Fable and Folly, because I was working on a project with them, and there was a scene that took place outside, and I didn't have any reverb on it, and they sort of suggested, right, well, try doing this, try try this delay, and it's great. Like it's a good way of having a small outside delay, so it sounds like delays ricocheting off buildings. In this case, it was we put the delay on and then added an EQ, which, as you can imagine, just take off the high frequencies and make it bassy. And then just added a limiter just to boost everything up a little bit, just to make sure everything's hitting the top, ironically. And then in terms of the sound, so we first thing we did was we got oh yeah, I forgot I did that. So I accidentally did a good sound design. So I slowed down the vocals a little bit. So this is playing at 0.9 speed. So it means everything's slightly slower than it was recorded. We got Dai to make some terrifying drowning sounds.
Die!
Truly horrible. Just awful to listen to. Right, yes, we have another. Believe we have another transition here. Is that right? I got that right? Yes, we do. So we have a splash down here, and then we have another splash here. Okay, so this is what it sounds like on its own. So it's 2 splashes, but if you put the bass, the effect on, it sounds like this. So it's 2 sounds. The initial splash has a really big fade on it, quite like straight away, and the underwater splash happens like a little bit later. So this has a bit of time to do the transition into the underwater bit. And then, sorry, I'm pointing at the screen and I realize you can't see that. But then when this starts, it's a big water splash. I actually think it's maybe the same sound. But it means you get that transition from rather than having an outside splash and then you're underwater, or having an underwater splash but then you don't get the sound of the splash happening. You kind of have both. So you get that sort of nice, smooth, where's it gone? Transition to the underwater sounds. And then to kind of add a bit more underwater ambience, what do we have? We have these three sounds here, which is a hydrophone underwater, doing some bubbles. We have the sound of water pouring into the water. Kind of splashy sounds. And then this is just called Roman... Oh, small fountain, okay. So you have water movement going on while this is all happening. And then you stick it all together. Oh, it helps if you turn the effects on. Because also you get that delightful transition. So all these ambiences are loud, but they're also quite. They've got a lot of high frequencies. So you have the taps going, you have the water flowing, and then it just stops and goes into this really basic thing. So you get a very transition. And then also the music kind of hides the stitches again, which is kind of what you're after. And then you get a big splash as the thing lands in there. What are the effects you use to make it sound underwater? Also, this is so cool. Thank you very much. You're very, very welcome. Again, apologies everyone for Nightbot crashing. I will get that fixed for the next stream. So what I did for the underwater effects, very, very simple. It's a slap back delay. Let me turn these off and turn them back on again. So first things first, I slowed everything down by 0.1%. So this is playing at like 2.9 speed, 0.9 speed rather. Just a slap back delay, just quite quick. And then I just added an EQ, and these two came with Reaper, so they come with the put it there. It's behind your face. Can you move it to the left, please? I don't quite understand what you mean. And then it's just a case of putting the limiter on. Oh, the plugin. Oh, I beg your pardon. Oh my goodness, so it is. I beg your pardon. Oh my goodness. Right, there you go. Sorry about that. Yep, so there's a delay. I'll just leave it up there if you want to, So this delay comes with Reaper. This is one of the stock plugins. This is one of the stock presets. Added that on there just to add a bit of slapback. And then added just a little curve EQ here, just keeping most of the mid-range frequencies, but mostly taking away the high ones. And then added a limiter on there just to give it a bit more of a boost for the just to make sure everything was kind of hitting the same level. It also squeezes it slightly as well, so it just makes everything more crushed, which is kind of what we're wanting. We're wanting things to feel slightly claustrophobic underwater. I also have a fear of drowning, so this was a delightful scene to try and figure out. Yeah, and then you stick it all together, and you've got the music hiding the cuts. And then also you have the... It's okay, it's fine, it's all good. YXNon, hello, welcome to the chat. Thank you so much for following. That's very kind of you. I hope you're enjoying the stream. Also, like, I really like how when the Kelpie falls in the water, the music stops. Like, I like that as a good way to end the scene, to kind of go, it's over, we're done. And then we do the same trick in reverse to come back up again. So that delightful sound that you're hearing there, that's Gellert chewing on a dead wet horse. We have you've Gellert. So we've got the dog, a sound of a dog playing tug of war. Yeah, it's calming. The dog chewing on a snack, and then growling while it's playing with a toy. Dog playing tug of war, and then the bell underneath just to give it a bit more movement. And the bell is just, where's it gone? Oh no, have I lost Gel's bell? Oh no! Uh-oh, that's a problem. Oh no! I appear to have misplaced Gel's bell. That's not good. Oh well, I need to tidy my desk anyway, so I need to find it. But yeah, that's me just holding a bell in front of the microphone. Speaking of dogs, I have to take mine out, but I'll stop by next time. Thank you for the behind the scenes view. No worries. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope it was useful. The way there was a message earlier on I missed. What was it? I was in a sound design workshop last week where we had some Camlann stems, including this scene to play around with. Oh wow, which was a very fun surprise. Oh, amazing! I'm glad that scene was useful. Far too complicated to do in the time I had. I spent most of my time figuring out the episode 1 pig chase. I'm glad. Like it was quite fun. Like I like the idea of people sound designing, doing their own spins on these sound designs and sending the stems over. I think that's an interesting challenge. I'm very curious to hear what people came up with. I don't know how to listen to that, but how I'd go about that. But I'm deeply curious to see what people came up with. So there's a sound in here I think is very funny. It's funny entirely to me, and nobody else is going to particularly notice it. It's that sound there. It's just this idea of like Gellert just going, "Oh right, it's done. I've done it. I've finished him off." Like, anyway, me plonking around in the bath.
What's going on? Is he hurt?
I don't know. I can't get him up. I can't move him. He's stuck. Perry's drowning.
Let me help. It's like something's holding him down.
Okay.
I thought that thing was dead.
It is. This could be some kind of a leftover, a curse or something.
Whatever it is, it's killing him.
Okay. Breaths. Again.
This can't be happening.
Okay.
Morgan, we have to check his airways.
So, a couple of little things about that little scene there. First of all, if you're listening on headphones, you'll notice that scene, the vocals are in stereo for this. So the microphone we were using was recording in stereo. Anyway, it does this cool thing where it records in stereo. You use the polarizer plugin that I was showing off earlier, and you can change the polar pattern, and it outputs a mono signal, which is really, really cool. And it's the best thing. It's the best thing I've ever spent money on when it comes to recording equipment. But one thing I learned while we were recording this series is that having recording a scene in stereo, if you have two people speaking and the scene's in stereo, it creates a very immediate, quite intimate sound that's more intimate than everything being in mono. It feels much more like you're in the middle of something. And I definitely want to do that for this scene. I think it adds a slight level of, adds a bit more tension and a bit more distress to this scene. And then you've got Gellert just making very, very sad, upset noises. Like I said, Gellert is there to add humor and distress in equal measure.
I can't move him. He's stuck. Perry's drowning.
Let me help. It's like something's holding him down.
I thought that thing was dead.
It is. This could be some kind of a leftover, a curse or something.
Whatever it is, it's killing him.
Okay. Breaths. Again.
This can't be happening.
Morgan, we have to check his airways.
And then when we get into the Morgan, we have to check his airways. Then it goes back to being in mono and back to kind of being more straight down the center. And then again, I did the system where I cut out the actions put them into clumps. So this is 5 actions. Yeah, 5 actions that takes us from here to where's come back?
Come back.
Yeah, takes us to there. So that's another minute and a half chopped up into 5 sections. In this one, it was mostly running with the lines this time around, because the lines were in this case triggering different actions happening. But while that's happening, basically the house starts to kind of fall
Morgan!
apart while this is going on.
What?
Open his mouth. Okay, I think we're going to need to do CPR.
Neither of us knows how to do that.
Then we improvise. Morgan, look at me. He's not dead yet. He needs us. He needs you.
Okay, I'll do it.
Great. So we start with chest compressions. It's 30, I think. 8, 9, 30. Okay, go for it.
Yes, I know that wasn't 30. Okay, sometimes we've got to like cut the time down, and you'll see why in a second.
8, 9, 30.
Also, I don't know if you're here, but if you were the person that during the listen along said you need to slow down those compressions, that's not going to do any good. Like, we can't just
8, 9, 30. Okay, go for it.
So we did record. So the thing is, right? So chest compressions, you do 30. I think 30 is what we do here, right? That's 30 seconds. 30 seconds is a long time in an audio drama, and I know this because we recorded Robin doing chest compressions for 30 seconds.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29.
So at what point did you stop listening to that? Like, it's not. That must hurt. Robin wasn't doing chest compressions on an actual person. I should state that they were acting. They were acting very, very well. But no, we didn't get Tobias to lie on the floor and then get. Right, Robin, on you go. But the reason why we put that whole take under there is that it meant that we could do things with the sound design.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Morgan has a line here.
8.
Not like this. You don't get to leave me like
We
this.
had stuff starting to build.
14, 15, 16, 17.
Water starts.
19.
Chest compressions. Water starts to move.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
More chest,
30. Okay, again.
more chest compressions. More water movements. Big waves. Waves breaking.
The Kelpie's definitely dead, right? 3, 4.
They won't take you away from me.
Stone starts to break.
8. Morgan, are you seeing this?
Come back.
Oh, thank God.
So yeah, so that just again, same thing as the last scene, chopping it up into little sections and then slowly building that up as the episode goes on, and having this sort of build happening, this kind of wall of sound happening, and then cutting it all for that very, 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 very quiet line, having a bit of silence, letting the music kind of do the thing, and then bringing it back up.
Oh, thank God. Morgan, we need to get out of here.
And there's just a whole load of stuff just bringing this house down.
Morgan, we need to get out of here. I've got Di. We go, rats. Morgan, come on.
So you may have noticed a weird little noise there, and basically I was really struggling with this because the door's been kicked in, right? So I couldn't have them opening the door and closing it again. But the idea is that there's a storm happening above the building, and then they go outside the building, and then the storm's not there anymore, right? So, basically, to kind of indicate that, I kind of wanted this idea of, you know, when you walk up to a waterfall, you get this sort of white noise of the water rushing, and then you go through it, and then it disappears again. That's kind of what I was doing, and I made that using the white noise generator on my Moog, and then did this. And then just turn the filter right back down again when they go through. For the most part, I always recommend that you use real sounds as much as possible when it comes to sound design, but sometimes just having like a white noise generator underneath can just create a little bit of emphasis when you need it, especially for scenes like this where it's like the thing that you're trying to illustrate doesn't really make a lot of noise.
Morgan, come on! Everyone okay? Guy.
Fine. Morgan? It's okay, guys. I'm here.
Sort of the weather slowly starts to...
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. You didn't do anything wrong.
You nearly died.
And that wasn't your fault. I'm fine, see?
Please don't do that again. Please.
I'll do my best.
And then that's the episode. That's we get the weather calming down, and then the theme music kicks back in again. Then we get the credits. And that's episode 2. I don't think there's anything else that I was planning on talking about. If you have any questions about specific scenes or anything, or just sound design questions, now's the time to ask them. I don't believe there's anything else in this episode that I've not specifically brought up. Is there a fun thing? There is, yeah. So, so in this scene. So when the first Kelpie scene, after the distressing sound of a dragon eating someone, one of the notes I got back about this particular scene, so it was initially like, we need to make it obvious that it's a horse, right? Now, I have a particular thing when it comes to like, let's call it equine sound design. And basically there is one horse sound. There's one horse sound that whenever there are a group of horses in a film, TV, radio drama, video game, you name it, there is the same horse sound, right? It's the exact same file. It's the exact same sample. And the reason I recognize it is it's the sound a horse makes when you click on it in Age of Empires 2. It's a very particular sound. So let me see if I can find it. It's that sound. That's the sound. This like I can't. Whenever there are horses in a film or a television show or a game, you hear this sound. Like, I can't explain it. I don't know why, but this is just this. For some reason, this has just become the standard horse sound effect. And this one's from Age of Empires 2, because I happen to have all the sound effects from Age of Empires 2. Like, it's one of the things that makes me very cross and takes me out of things when I'm listening to them. Speaking of Age of Empires 2, where's it gone? That's the dog. The horse equivalent of the Wilhelm scream. Yeah. Did I? I think I may have. Oh, it's down here. It's down here, isn't it? There it is. There it is. There it is. So this was entirely for me. So this sound here is also from Age of Empires 2. It's the sound a building makes when you knock it down. just hid that in the sound. Just hid that in there.
Everyone okay? Guy.
Fine. Morgan?
So that's just a little nerd thing that I did. This isn't a Camlann specific question, but I think in an old stream you mentioned a footsteps plugin. Can I ask what it's called? You absolutely can. It's down here. It is it's a contact library. It's the Edward Foley Art instrument. So it's right there. I can't remember if you need like full contact player or if you can use the free version, but it's a contact library, so you get it as an instrument on here. You just double click that, you load it up, has a load of different kinds of shoes, has a load of different kinds of surfaces, and then also you have different speeds, walking speeds, right from slow to creep, which is possibly my favorite. Very, very useful. You can also add a room response as well, but I tend to do that myself rather than use this. Yeah, I'd highly recommend it. Like, again, it was a recommendation, and it just absolutely changed the way I approach doing footsteps, because I hate adding footsteps to audio drama. The horse equivalent of a Wilhelm scream. Okay, I think I'm going to call it there. I think I'm going to call it there for tonight. So. I currently don't have a plan for Wednesday because something is arriving soon. And if it's due to arrive on either Wednesday or Thursday. If it arrives on Wednesday, we'll be playing around with this new thing on Wednesday. If it arrives on Thursday, obviously we will not be doing that. I think if it doesn't arrive, I'll be doing more radio scrapbook stuff. I'll be doing more live radio pieces and performing a couple of them. The piece that I was working on 2 weeks ago now, I've now finished it, and I'm actually really proud of it, and I can't wait to show the finished version off on stream. And I can play a couple of other pieces as well and kind of figure out some new stuff and figure out some new features and new plans and things. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday, whether it's the morning or the afternoon or the evening. I am going to go to bed because I'm really tired. We've had more storms here in Scotland, and we have a very rattly bedroom window, so I didn't particularly get a lot of sleep last night. So I'm gonna go fall asleep. But thank you so much for being here. I'm live every Monday and Wednesday from 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern, and I'll be back on Wednesday with either some new exciting sound stuff or more radio scrapbook stuff. So I hope to see you there. Good night.